that we truly welcome back Shirley Fulcher. So we say our famous saying, we love you, we bless you, and we welcome you. So nice to have Shirley here today. So our musician today is Cerise Patron. And Cerise is an internationally recognized spiritual singer, songwriter, and motivational speaker. She has produced 4 CDs of her own music and is also for hire as a songwriter for churches, organizations, companies, retreats, and individuals who desire a deeper appreciation and want to rise to their spiritual level. She also organizes and sings and guides 10-day spiritual trips to Peru. They're healing retreats. I know Rev Jeanne went on one this last year. She is currently in ministerial school at Emerson's Theological. It's very nice, Patrice. And she travels around the country singing and speaking in unity and religious science churches. She uses her talents and gifts to do just one thing, that's spread the love. So welcome, Patrice. You're going to sing for us this morning to start our service.
Thank you, but I cannot do this alone. I require Jeanne.
Oh, you require Jeanne.
Okay. It's once you say yes. I require Jeanne. I cannot sing by myself.
Okay.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Once you say yes. This is, Cerise wrote this song, Once You Say Yes, and it was by my request. It's my favorite song.
But that's not it.
Our beloved Mark Meeker is not here this morning, our normal sound man. And so we're so grateful for Mike stepping up and
I get to mess it up now.
taking care of us.
You didn't mess it up. No mess ups. There are divine timings because we had to know who you were, and the universe needed us to know you. So that was all created in divine perfection, so that we could love on you.
Okay.
That's how much the universe loves you and us. Okay, we're switching places.
Ready?
Are you ready? Okay. We'll have the track turned up just a little bit. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. It seems like you're struggling just to make it through. There's not enough time in the day to do what you gotta do. Remember that God is just a prayer away from making your dreams come true. But you don't get nothing, no you don't, until you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. I know you've been trying to find a way to go. All of your life you've tried to find your pot of gold. Remember that young and what you're putting out. Reap what you have sown, so you can quit trying. Yes, you can. Just say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, yes, yes. Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes. It seems like you're searching say yes, yes, yes? Won't you say yes, yes, yes? Won't you say yes? God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes? Won't you say yes, yes, yes? Won't you say yes, yes, yes? Won't you say yes? God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes? Won't you say yes? God does the rest. Once you say yes, yes, yes? Once you say yes, God does the rest. Once you say yes.
The daily word today is next, and that's going to be read to us by Ellen Angle. She's not here? Oh, yes, she is.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Sunday, January 16th. Rise. I rise in consciousness to help create a world that works for all. Throughout time, there have been people who led lives that changed the world forever. Their words and deeds provided hope and inspiration for those who would carry forth their legacies of love, growth, evolution, long after they left this life. Their most powerful contribution, however, was their ability to inspire others to express their own divine purpose. As more and more people reach their highest potential, the whole of humanity ascends. Today, I honor those who have led lives of service, striving for love, truth, and justice. I take steps not just to commemorate their journeys and contributions, but to embark upon my own. I rise grateful to contribute all I can to the growth and evolution of humankind. Take action, for it is your duty, and we are with you. Be strong and do it. Ezra 10:4. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellen. So now it's time for meditation. And we have Mike Schneider today, who's going to do meditation for us, and Cerise is going to lead us into meditation this morning.
Okay, everyone wants to take a very deep breath. As we prepare for meditation, we are asking the spirit of the universe to pour itself into us. Pour yourself in me. Pour yourself into my heart. Whoa, wonderful spirit, pour your love in me, pour your love into my heart. Whoa, wonderful my heart. Whoa, wonderful Spirit, sing and dance in me. Sing and dance into my heart. Whoa, wonderful Spirit. Whoa, wonderful Spirit.
As we prepare for this celebration and the healing of unity today, we set aside all of our bitterness and our blame, all of our fear, all of our judgment and opinions. And we look for that quiet place, our center, that sacred heart that is only love. Just as the acorn has within it the pattern of the mighty oak tree, our sacred heart has within it the pattern of the entire universe. We focus on that central place, and we celebrate our breath. We celebrate life. We celebrate unity. We celebrate our trust and our love. And we stay centered in that quiet place, and we share our love and our healing and our peace with everyone around us. And so it is.
The Lord's Prayer. All right, everyone. Please join me in saying our Lord's Prayer this morning. Heavenly Source, Thou who art everywhere, hallowed be Thy name, or Thy vibration. Thy kingdom come, Thy will be done, here, now, and forevermore. Fill us with the power of Thy mercy, and free us from the fetters with which we bind each other. Lead us out of temptation, free us from ourselves, and give us the strength to be at one with Thee. Teach us the true power of forgiveness. May this holy moment be the ground from which our future actions grow. Amen. And another song by Cerise.
Okay, we're going to try this one. Hilarious.
into the sweetest kind of life. So get ready, my soul. Everything I've ever done, everything I've ever seen, everything I've lost or won, every dream I have ever dreamed has brought me to this present moment, here to a new beginning, and I'm seeing life so clearly now. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, into the sweetest kind of life. So get ready, my soul. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer, closer to my sacred source. Here I go, deeper, deeper, deeper than I've ever been before. Here I go, closer, closer to my sacred soul. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in. Get ready, my soul. I'm diving in to the deepest kind of love, and I choose the sweetest kind of life. So get ready, my soul. Get ready, my soul.
And now it's time for us to hear Rev Jeanne give her message this morning, which is titled, It's Your Life, Live It.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Cerise.
Yeah.
I think we met over 15 or 16 years ago, and to watch you just spread your wings and be all that you can be for all of us up here is just beautiful. And I think we can just all go home now.
Right.
I mean, that's the message. Get ready, my soul. I don't know about all of you, but this year, setting our intention at the first of the year and watching it unfold right in front of our eyes and feeling it on a daily basis, it has been just glorious. I am so lifted, and it's, hold on. I'm lifted because it's the work that we do here every Sunday morning that puts us in motion for the week ahead. And then to just watch it unfold during the week is so amazing. And then we get to come together and go, oh my gosh, that's what we've created. And it's happening, it's unfolding right in front of us. So I hope if you're not feeling that, I hope today you walk out of that place, this door, feeling like renewed and excited about your life. It's your life. You get to live it. Dr. Robert Schuller authored a book entitled, If It's to Be, It's Up to Me. In it he wrote, the 21st century belongs first and foremost to a new mental breed of humans driven by a strong, sensitive, spiritual individualism. The truth is, there is only one person on earth who can dream your dreams. And that person is you. And there is only one person alive who can kill your dreams. Guess who that is? That is you as well. So this year, what shall it be? It's your life. You get to live it. This year, will you do that consciously? Intentionally? On purpose?
Yes.
Once you say yes, that is what this month is all about. Setting the stage, setting the tone for living 2022 more consciously, more awake, and more spiritually in tune. So make this profound decision now. If it is to be, it is up to me. So say that with me. If it is to be, it is up to me. Yes. The power that we call God is a dynamic, creative, divine energy that continually expresses through you and through your thinking, your beliefs, and attitudes. We know that God is without limits. We know that God lives and moves in us and through us, as us. The voice of God is your voice. I remember the day that I realized that. The voice of God sounds like me. I always thought I'd hear it somewhere else, like, oh, Jeanne. No, it's my voice. So each week this month, we've talked about tools for a greater consciousness, a deeper realization of life, a more sublime concept of being, a more intimate concept of an already indwelling God. And today, we have 3 more. And to make them easy for you to remember, we have the 3 R's. And they are not reading, writing, and arithmetic. Instead, they are refocus, renew, and recommit. Refocus your awareness, renew your mind, and recommit your heart. Refocus your awareness. Today, let us refocus our awareness on God's good, knowing it is always operating and that we can always trust that. You know, my favorite mantra of all time is everything is working for my favor, and it continues to do so. No matter what is showing up in front of me, it's always good. Why resist what is happening? It's always good because God is always good. And I trust that. We experience that which we look at the most in our lives. So what are we looking at? At Luke chapter 11, verse 34, the scripture says, "The lamp of your body is your eye. When therefore your eye is bright, your whole body will also be lighted." Are we spending more time looking at the problems in our life? Or are we disciplining ourselves to see the good? To know God's good is multiplying itself in all circumstances. God is good all the time. God is here, everywhere present, right now. God is good, and that means good exists everywhere. Even in the most challenging of situations. When we don't see the good, it's not because it is not present, but we are simply not aware of the good that is present. The Bible story of my favorite, David and Goliath, offers a powerful message for us today, even today. In the story, David, at that time, a small shepherd boy, was bringing food to his brothers who were Israelite soldiers under King Saul's rule. He heard of the giant Philistine soldier, Goliath, who was terrorizing the Israelites. And so David volunteered to Saul, saying, "Let no man's heart fail because of him, because of that giant. Your servant, I will go and fight this Philistine." At first the king brushed off little David. How could a mere kid take on a massive warrior? But David was persistent, perhaps even a pest. This story spends a lot of time describing Goliath's fearsome height, his bulk, and his weighty armor. They are vividly described for a simple reason, to let us know that this story is about us. We tend to see the Goliaths of our lives, the problems, as massive and overwhelming. We measure ourselves against what feels immense, becoming entirely caught up in our belief about Goliath's power. Are you with me? Consider a Goliath in your life then, right now. And ask yourself this question: am I focusing on the right size of the problem? Am I focusing on the size of this problem? And if so, what is happening as a result? So perhaps it would be wise to refocus your awareness on God's good, on the size of the problem. And if so, what is happening as a result? Perhaps it would be wise to refocus your awareness on God's good rather than the massive strength of your problem. Said another way, instead of bringing your big problems to God, how about bringing your big God to your problem? What might that look like? Instead of focusing on the issue this person has, or the fear that this person is bringing up in your mind, focus on all the things that you love about this person. You cannot control the behavior of others. And you cannot dictate the choices that they make. But you have total control over which aspects of them you are selecting to magnify in your own experience. When King Saul finally allowed David to take on Goliath, he outfitted the young shepherd with a helmet and armor and a sword. You couldn't even see the kid in there. He could barely hold that sword. He was a kid. David was going into battle and therefore given tools that appeared to fit this circumstance. We too tend to take on our Goliaths by following protocol, the way of the world. Oh, that's the way it's done, says the ego. But if you do things the way that you've always done them, you will get the results that you've always gotten. And there is another way. David, for instance, did not feel supported by that armor. He felt weighted down. He knew better than to try and tackle a giant in giant's garb. He shrugged off his armor and he reached instead for the staff that he used to herd his sheep. And he chose 5 smooth rocks from the riverbed. And he put them in his bag with his sling. And David said to Goliath, "You come to me with a sword and a spear and a javelin, but I come to you in the name of the Lord." In other words, he chose to focus his awareness on the power of God within him. Armed with the tools that he knew to be his strength, and armed with faith in the strength of God working through him, David hurled a stone at Goliath, and the giant fell. David knew that no matter how diminutive he appeared, his faith was bigger than a boastful soldier. Now, I don't know what your Goliath may be right now, but I do know that if you draw upon the resources that are natural to you, draw upon your faith in God, and like David, willingly step out, you will harness the divine strength that leads to greatness. The David experience says, I can do this. My size isn't a barrier. My age isn't a barrier. My education isn't a barrier. And everything that looks like armor that I might put on to protect me really does nothing but confine me. Whatever I face is nothing compared to who I am. You don't need to add anything to become more powerful. The power is already within you. And it is greater than you know. So choose to refocus your awareness on this. Refocus your awareness by reminding yourself, there is no problem confronting me that can begin to match the awesome power of God within me. The second R, renew your mind. The greatest New Thought statement in the Bible says, be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. True story, illustrating one who renewed her mind to transform her life from poverty and struggle to great success. Several years ago, an important speaker addressed the student body of a small college in South Carolina. The auditorium was filled with students excited about the opportunity to hear a person of her stature speak to them. After the governor gave the introduction, the speaker moved to the microphone, looked at the audience from left to right, and began. I was born to a mother who was deaf and could not speak. I do not know who my father was. I still don't. The first job I ever had was in a cotton field. The audience was spellbound. She continued. Nothing has to remain the way that it is if that's not the way we want it to be. It isn't luck, and it isn't circumstances, and it isn't being born a certain way that causes a person's future to become what it becomes. And she softly repeated, nothing has to remain the way it is if that's not the way we want it to be. All we have to do is change a situation that brings unhappiness or dissatisfaction. Is answer one question. How do I want this situation to be? And then we must commit totally to personal actions that carry us there. And she softly repeated, nothing has to remain. And then a beautiful smile shone forth as she said, my name is Azzy Taylor Morton. I stand before you today as the treasurer of the United States of America. There is a huge freedom in this story. It is what makes New Thought so powerful in our lives. Nothing has to remain the way it is if it's not the way we want it to be. It's your life. You get to live it. You want to renew your mind about something? All you have to do is answer the question, how do I want this situation to be? And then commit totally to personal beliefs that support your success and the actions that will carry you there. Which is our third R this morning, recommit. Recommit your heart. Recommit your heart to what? To beliefs and actions that support your living life. And a good place to start would be to first take an inventory of your spiritual practices. Are you doing them? If you're not, why not? Do you remember in the past when you were doing them regularly and they worked? Which ones were they? So now is the perfect time to refine them. Retool them wherever they need to be retooled. Perhaps work with a prayer partner. We have our prayer partner meetings, we have our Reiki meetings every week. We have people so willing to serve And in unity, we know prayer is the most powerful thing we can do as a spiritual tool. If you don't know that, please connect with us. They can really help you see where you might have a blind spot or two. We can't see our own blind spots. That's why they're called blind spots. For example, I knew of a man who embarked an exercise regime. And after several weeks, he went to a trainer and he said, "I'm making great progress. I started holding 5-pound potato sacks in each hand and extended my arms straight out to my sides and holding them there as long as I could. And after a few weeks, I moved up to 10-pound bags, potato sacks, and then up to 50-pound potato sacks. And finally, I got up to where I could lift a 100-pound potato sack in each hand and hold my arms straight out for more than a full minute. So what do you think of that?" he said profoundly. The trainer said, "Well, sir, that's really quite good. But might I suggest the next time you put some potatoes in those sacks?" Sometimes on our own, we don't do that well. My spiritual practices are always better when I'm in class. I start class this week. I'm so excited to get back to class. Because I like the accountability. In one of my recent classes, we had to say 100 times a day, "I surrender to the power and the presence of God within me." It took me about 10 minutes. But because I had a commitment, I had to do that for 8 weeks, every day. It was amazing what it did for me. So this morning, I invite you to recommit your heart to your spiritual practices. And in unity, we have 5 unity principles that I'll remind you about, as I did a couple of weeks ago, because they do lead us to a greater life. The first unity principle: there's only one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life, and that God is good. Our essence is of God. Therefore, we are inherently good. The third one: we are co-creators with God, creating reality through thoughts held in mind. Think about that. If you live that way every day with that conscious thought, I'm co-creating with God today. Wow, that's important. The fourth one: through prayer and meditation, we align our heart and our mind with God. Denials and affirmations are tools that we use. And the fifth one: through thoughts, words, and actions, we live the truth that we know. So I invite you this morning to recommit your heart. It is your life. Live it. This is the beginning of a whole new year. A new year full of possibilities and potentialities. Our decision to fully be alive and aware of God's good. A year to demonstrate more and more of God's good, manifesting as peace, as joy, as love, abundance. And we do this by refocusing your awareness, renewing your mind, and recommitting your heart to spiritual principles and practices. And so we will say our affirmation together today. I surrender to the power and the presence of God within. Thank you, God. it's time for our offering. Many of us, we donate our offerings online, our tithes, and here at the church now, we do not pass the basket because of COVID, and so if you could, if you did want to leave a donation today, if you could drop it off in the basket that's on the back table with the name tags, that would be lovely. And no matter how you tithe, how you put your energy, your spiritual energy into this church, but more importantly, into your life, into the flow of abundance. Because we know that what we put out into the universe comes back to us tenfold. It's a law. And so we take a moment now, place our hands on our heart as we say together, divine love as me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I have, and all that I circulate. I am so blessed. Thank you, God. And so we will take the time now to sing Karen Drucker's song, I Am So Blessed.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I am. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I give. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed.
Got over how many times.
That red basket there.
Sorry for announcements. Our offering gratitude. We give thanks for these many blessings of today and know that they are but a symbol of the inexhaustible substance of the universe. I give thanks that 10 times as much is now on its way to me and quickly manifests in perfect ways. Now it's time for announcements. We have a board meeting today after the service. And H. Emily Caddy's Lessons in Truth discussion will be on February 6th. And all are welcome. I have to tell you, this last week when we had our classes, there were 10 of us, I think, by the time we got that. And everybody is just so excited about it. So please join us. It's a wonderful class. And I'm a religious science minister, and I must admit I am learning a lot about unity, really. They have much of the same beliefs, but on the other hand, they have different ones too, and so it's been awesome. And I have to admit, I like unity better now that I'm getting to learn about it. I mean, religious science is awesome, and it saved my life, but unity just has become a special place in my heart. So join us, I tell you, you would not forget it. The sign-up sheet for volunteers for reading the daily word, for doing meditation, or even being the prayer partner here, please sign up. We also have a place to bring flowers if you'd like to do that for one of the Sundays. So it's all good. The Reiki meeting every Tuesday at 9:30 a.m., and that's over in Cottonwood. And then the prayer meeting, which is online, I still believe, with Reverend Julia.
Yes.
And our musician next week is Craig, Haley, and Peterson. And I know you remember them. They're really fun to watch. So that's it. And if you'll join me now, we're going to have Cerise sing us out.
Do we have any other announcements before you?
Wasn't there a prayer partner today?
Barbara Kelly's going to be our prayer partner today. She'll meet you in the back if you would like personal prayer. Anything else? All right, then let's stand and sing the peace song.
That's not bad.
Not yet.
Yes, that's it.
Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me. Let there be peace on earth, the peace that was meant to be, with God as creator. Family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Yes, this is the moment now. With every step I take, yes, this is my joyous vow, to take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with me.
And now we'll close with the prayer for protection.
The light of God surrounds us. I am the light of God. The love of God enfolds us. I am the love of God. The power of God protects us. I am the power of God. The presence of God watches over us. I am the presence of God. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.
God bless you all. Have a wonderful week.